I realized that this may mean that you have to give up your chance for All-State this year. And of course, he looked back at me, as all great ball players will, and said, whatever you need me to do, Coach, I'll do it. He said, but I'm going to screw up, I know. And I said, I know that too, but let's get to it. And as luck would have it, we ended up drawing the #1 ranked team in the state in one of our early games. And we played them very well for much of the game until later on, you know, our goalkeeper, ball slips through his hand, seemed to have touched the palm of his hand maybe 4 times before it finds its way into the netting. And devastation. I mean, you know, he leans over, the whole thing, of course, you know, the screaming of the opponents and all of that. And I, in this moment, found myself, you know how you can do this as a coach, almost standing outside of yourself, just trying to take everything in and watching as this unfolded. And I just waited to see what our players would do. Because I was aware that at this moment, the key moment, our new goalkeeper's career was either going to be made or not made. For example, if a number of my players had been, oh, dude, are you serious, man? You really suck at this. It's possible that would end. It was fascinating to me that I had 2 players who quickly sprinted up to him and made sure he was okay and said, dude, do not worry about it at all. We lost the game. He didn't allow much more than 3 goals in conference play for the rest of the year. And of course, on to state we went. I like to tell this story to coaches to say the following. You're going to have adversity in a season. And the question will be, how does the club respond to that adversity? And that's the key, in my estimation, that's the key to whether you're going to be able to produce what we watched at the beginning of our session here today in regards to that coordination and communication and concentration. I often will talk about soccer as learning. And one of the reasons that I like to talk about it that way is because for me, I think we've forgotten a fundamental component of learning. I think parents have definitely forgotten a fundamental component of learning, and I think that we as coaches have to remind ourselves about what it means to learn anything. I'll sometimes tell the story of my boy Mikey. When he was a little boy, he wanted to ride a bike, and so, you know, I went out, I bought him a bike, I brought it home, I take it out of the back of the truck, I set it there, it's an amazing new bike, and you know, my son says, he's only 5, he says, what are the wheels on the back? And I said, son, those are training wheels. They're going to be there to help you. And he's like, take them off, I don't like them. His pal next door had no training wheels on his bike at the time. And I said, son, you don't understand. This is going to help you ride your bike. And he gets on, and of course he gets ready to fall, and you know, the training wheels catch him. I said, sweet, training wheels, right? And he's like, oh, my Mikey, he becomes amazing on this bike, right? Running around all over the place. I remember I was watching a ball game Saturday. He comes in, he says, Dad, I say, what? He says, I think it's time for me to learn how to ride my bike without training wheels. I didn't say anything else about it. A few days later, when he comes home with his mama in the van, I'm standing out next to this bike, and my Mikey, he gets out of the van, and he's a little bit freaked out. He goes, what are you doing, Dad? And I said, today's the day, man. It's going to be great. It's beautiful outside. We got Mom with the camera. We're going to videotape this. It's going to be awesome. Here we go. Get on the bike. My Mikey is scared. He don't want to do it. Dad, I don't think today's a very good day at all. I'm like, what are you talking about? Today's awesome. Let's go. And I said, what are you worried about? He said, I'm worried that I'm going to go out and I'm going to fall. I said, oh, son, you got no idea. We're about to get on this bike. We're about to go out here. You're going to fall down. It's going to hurt like something like Hades. Let's go. See, this is what I'm convinced often we've forgotten about learning. There's always the element of fear and pain. It's always there in learning, in learning new things. This doesn't preclude the notion of having fun when we learn. But sooner or later, just like my Mikey, had to get on that bike. And there I am, handlebars, back seat. I'm whispering in his ear. My Mikey, he's terrified. And I whisper in his ear, I go, Mikey, he says, what? I said, son, you got to pedal. I ain't going to push you around the block. He's like, he'd forgotten how to pedal. And off he goes, you know the gig. Pedaling. I let him go. Incredible. You know butt's coming, right? Now let's point out a couple of things. Mikey knew how to use his brakes, okay? Rotate backwards. He knew that the city engineer had put the curb there, okay? Oh man, he hits that curb, beautiful, Jack, over the handlebars, down he goes. Oh, you know, elbows, knees. Yeah, I'm sure you've seen this at some point, or felt it. I come running up, oh my Mikey, he is so mad. He's pushed the bike off of himself, his little knees pulled up, tears in his eyes. My Mikey is mad. Now let's point out, he is not mad at himself for forgetting how to use his brakes. No. He is not mad at the city engineer for putting the curb there. No. Right. He's mad at me. Stupid jerk dad, he says. We got it on video. I like to tease him about it today. See, here's the deal. The job of a coach is the job of a teacher who challenges ball players to get on the bike and ride, knowing full well that they're going to fall and that it's going to hurt. The capacity to overcome fear and to accept the propedeutic, the instructional tool of pain, has everything to do with building ball players and, of course, building humans, right? Finally, I remember the day Mikey learned how to ride that bike. Oh, what an amazing, amazing feeling that is. And I can say this out loud. This is the reason why most of us coach. Because there is something so beautiful about seeing the moment when it all comes together, like a video, when finally it all works. And even if we don't end up the #1 team in whatever competition it is that we're in, we still have the capacity to point to, at the end of a season, the learning that took place, the overcoming of the fear and the overcoming of the pain. Because that is foundational to what it means to being a coach. In my other life, I'm also a poet. And I've written a few lines in thinking about coaching and in thinking about having a club that's competitive, and of course the video at the beginning that I showed to you. And I call this poem Greatness. Show me an effective congregation of like minds, and I will show you one committed to coordination, communication, and concentration, all of both the individual and collective. Coordination of individual to play his or her role as expected, of the mass, moving in single stride towards a common, properly announced, articulated, communicated goal, both in self-talk and in communal song of a sort, proving that all monkey mind, all disequilibrium, distraction has somehow been first noticed and secondly controlled, allowing for a concentration of each, and then and only then all. When seen from afar, these three elements are often blurred, hard to spot. But from the inside, these will be felt in the spine and long before seen. And sometimes never even spoken of. So that long after each will try to repeat what this we did well. Coaching is often about responding to the voices. You'll maybe remember in Tom Cruise classic, The Last Samurai, when he's going through that process of trying to learn how to swing a sword. And he gets beat up pretty good. His buddy says to him, you have too many minds. You have the mind of people watching. You have the mind of the fighting. You have the mind of this. You have the mind. Too many minds. Monkey mind, in other words. The inability to focus. And one of the hardest things to do as a coach, and this is my final comment to you, is to learn how to hear the comments that are around. Because we want to be, that's part of communication. You can't tune it out. But to be able to work within your club, with your players, to make sure that everybody's focused on learning, on improving. So often, the sky is falling is the mantra on the outside. I've written a very brief poem to try to help you understand a little of how I think about this. I call the poem Levitating. Everyone around us screamed, the sky is falling. But we looked each other in the eye, whispered, the sky is nearer, only because we are levitating. Thank you, and I wish you the best of luck in your season.